Today I felt like talking about failure. How do you get past it? How do you get over it? How do you keep yourself motivated to keep going when times are tough and you can't really see the light at the end of the tunnel? It's very depressing. You get down on yourself. You say really awful shit to yourself that we wouldn't say to anybody else, but we're okay with saying it to ourselves. I'm going to preface this with, I don't think I, even myself, after 18 years of being a solopreneur and building small teams here and there, building all different types of businesses, I don't even think I figured it out. And I think that's part of the journey of life. What I will share with you is what has helped me through those toughest moments. I've went through bankruptcy once. That was one of the hardest things I've had to go through mentally, just because it was one of the first big businesses I tried to do, and it completely backfired on me. And it's also hard because now it's such a popular thing to do, or a type of business where everyone is finding success, and it's difficult, right? Like, I've been called, a tastemaker or trailblazer. I don't know if I love those names, honestly. Maybe it's because I don't even believe in myself. I do know that I see trends before it happens. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. So the specific business I'm talking about was an e-commerce store. I wanted to bring, if anyone is as old as me, kind of was into, streetwear and all that kind of stuff before it blew up the way it has. You might remember a store called Colette, and it was in Paris. It was just where the cool kids went for music, art, fashion. Like, it had the best shit. Like, they had the best curation. And I remember my first time in Paris and going to the store, I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is the coolest store ever. I can buy everything I wanted in those categories: home, art, fashion, food. Even they had like a cafe and music. I was a DJ at that time, and finding vinyl, like that key vinyl that no one else had, was just epic. And so that's what I wanted to do when I came back in Canada. I wanted to have an e-commerce store that hit upon all those categories: art, fashion, music, design. Those four, and I called it ADFM. It was art, design, fashion, music. I was kind of, I guess, a little ahead of the e-commerce game. It definitely wasn't as popular as it is now. It was kind of in the upcoming. I just completely shot myself in the foot. Like, when you have that type of business, especially the type of business I was trying to run, I had to go and purchase product, right? Like, I had to go purchase product from these brands and sell the brands first on why they should let me be a retailer of their brand, and then spend a bunch of fucking money buying their shit and putting it in a warehouse, taking photos and all that, and then hopefully someone will buy it. It was such a crushing first big business for me to do, because I bought way too much inventory, and I totally didn't realize that, seasonal would just go by so quick. When you buy something for summer, if it doesn't sell in summer, it's really hard to sell it in winter unless you put it on an extreme discount. And when you put it in an extreme discount, you're losing all of that profit. That was a tough lesson. I lost a lot of money. I feel like I was able to recoup some of the initial investment. I was privileged enough to have my dad help me out and give me a loan. That was even more emotionally crushing, because I felt like I let him down, and I just, didn't live up to what I said I was going to do, and I lost his money. That was hard. There came a point where that business I literally had no more cash. I could not inject any more cash in, and the next season was coming. Like, if I wanted to still stay in the game and try to figure this out, I would have to purchase next season, because you're always doing it a season before. So, if you're purchasing summer clothes, you're doing it early spring, like February, March. You got to finalize your orders and get those in and pay it up front. So, because back then I still didn't have enough relationship with these brands where there would be a net 60 or 90 after the product was delivered. Some of them I did, but you still required some sort of deposit, or sign legally that you were going to be responsible for that amount of money. It got to the point where, I already purchased next season. I couldn't afford it. I just couldn't unless I asked for more money or found investment somewhere else. But I was so burnt out at this point, I threw in the towel. I couldn't see the way out. And so I filed for bankruptcy, because every day there was multiple suppliers and credit, whatever they're called, chasing me for money. And it was just so depressing. It was honestly the most depressing time of my life, when it was supposed to kind of be the most exciting. I would sleep in till 3 or 4 p.m. I wake up feeling like shit, and hopefully process a few orders, package it, get it out, drop it off at the post office to ship, and then I just be sitting there hoping and waiting for my next customers, and getting high and smoking so much weed and playing video games, because I just couldn't live reality. Like, it was so hard for me to basically take the blame of all of this and point the finger at myself and be like, hey, this is what you need to fix. This is what you need to do. I couldn't do that. It's also because I was so young. Like, when I ran it, I was still early 20s. I thought I was going to be this absolute success. I thought I was going to be, I was going to have a successful business. I don't think I thought I was going to be a millionaire, but I thought I was going to have a successful business that was going to keep rapidly growing, but it didn't. And I had also people who was cheering me on. I had team members, interns, and all these people that were working with me trying to make this work. And I felt like I let all of them down too. All of their hard work just went kind of down the drain. I'm glad to see, some of them do really well for themselves now. It really warms my heart for that. But I did it all wrong. The first way around, I spent all the money in the wrong places. I didn't have a marketing plan. I didn't even know. I just thought, build it and they'll come. I have such a cool thing that I'm building. Oh, of course people are going to come and check it out at least. And hopefully walk out, check out on the website, and hopefully check out one or two items, because it wasn't super high price, my stuff. And that's also where it went wrong. I didn't go super high luxury, so that I just could make a few sales and get by. I didn't go super low where I needed to make a lot of sales to make it up, but the cost was low. I went with the mid-range. It was still expensive enough to buy on my end to hold that inventory. It wasn't the cheapest thing either for people to get for, a sweater or a shirt or whatever it was, unless it was on sale and unless it was on discount. So I almost started creating this cycle of letting people know that my store would always go on sale, during Christmas or after. And people just started catching on that things will eventually go on sale because it's not going to sell. So I lost so much money. And the way I recouped it was just to sell all my inventory to one person at an extremely ridiculous discount. I think they only paid me it was 80% discount or 70% discount of all my inventory just to recoup some sort of cash. I don't know, to this day, I don't think it was the best decision, because I had to file for bankruptcy to get these creditors off my back. It was the best decision I knew at that time. And I think that is a huge lesson that I've learned in failure. Because this one particular business kept sticking with me. I would ruminate over it over and over and over. Even though, I made the decision to get it off my back, so to speak, try to figure out something else, which, I ended up taking a 9-to-5 job that actually paid me quite a bit to be their e-commerce director. Every time I tried to think of, what's my next move? Like, what is this next thing I want to do? This business haunted me. And, you made so many mistakes, like, you're gonna lose other people's investments now. You're gonna lose money. You're gonna da-da-da. Like, you're terrible. You're not, fit for this. All of these negative self-talk just kept circling me and circling me and circling me. Until I finally accepted the facts. And that was, I made bad decisions. I should have done things in a different way. Definitely shouldn't have bought so much inventory at first. I should have built a demand first. But a list kept going on. Once I actually saw the facts for what it was and kept telling myself, there's a lesson in this. There's a lesson in this madness, in this chaos. I gotta find it. And once I start seeing the lessons, it became less of this dark cloud over me. I almost saw it as a blessing because it brought me to where I was supposed to be, and even eventually to here at this moment. I know now not to ever touch anything like that type of business. And I preach it all the time on my Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, not to do these type of businesses. If you're a newcomer, don't listen to everybody else of like doing e-commerce and stuff. Even drop shipping, I think is a whole nother battle. Even though you're not carrying inventory, eyeballs is expensive. I don't think I understood that then, and I don't think a lot of people understand that now. Is gaining attention is the most important thing to the success of your business, and how you're going to gain it in the least expensive way is going to get you there. With e-commerce and stuff, unless you're using UGC content, influencers, creating your own content, which then you're going to use for ads and all that kind of stuff, you're trying to buy eyeballs on your thing. And it's the most expensive thing out there. Even with any business, marketing is going to be the most expensive piece. What I'm talking about when I'm talking about failure is you got to, as hard as it is, and you're going to have your moment of despair and where you can't see the end. I mean, trigger warning, but I got to a point where I was even suicidal because of this. Because I just felt so incompetent in my life. I failed so hard. That was like, I don't see any future. I don't see how I can succeed if I failed so hard the first time. Which is such a crazy way to think about it now. Because what I've learned is each failure, and every time you're going to fail, it just depends how hard you're going to fail. But each failure is a step towards your success. Because each failure, there's a lesson for you to learn. There's something for you to understand more. It was the right moment, the right time, whatever it is, you were supposed to learn that to then avoid in your next venture or your next whatever. The more and more you can accept that, of understanding there's also polarity in our life. With everything positive, there's going to be something negative. And with something negative, there's always going to be a positive. We live in a world of polarity. When you can really understand that piece, it makes going after things or putting yourself out there or trying things so much easier, because you're not so in your head of hating yourself, of pointing the fingers in. And I agree that you need to take responsibility for bad decisions that you make. You got to take the consequences. But you don't gotta beat yourself up over and over and over and over again. You take the lesson and plant it in your brain and just don't allow it to happen again. With the knowledge that you have now, prevent yourself from that ever happening again. And I'm not gonna say that it never comes back up, because it has. For me, recently, I'm trying to launch a completely new offer in sales coaching, and not just sales coaching, it's almost more sales consulting. This incredible full done for you offer. I love it. The coach that I worked with, a lot of people that I've asked for feedback with, all says they love it. It's great. It's something that is absolutely necessary. But then that little negative part of me creeps up, and it's like kind of like yapping at the back of my head. It's like, they're just saying that. They don't believe it. You're paying them to say this stuff. They're just saying that. It's not gonna work. This shit's not gonna work. You're never gonna make it even work. And when you're in that moment, at least I found that it's so illogical, because there's so many good things that I've done and successful things that I've done have got me to this point. But yet I don't see any of that. Like, I got my blinders on and I'm just in this like, oh, I fucking suck. I hate myself. This is terrible. I'm not going to be successful ever. I'm not going to get my dreams and goals. But it's all just fabrication of my own poor mindset. When you can really realize that polarity, work on strengthening your own mindset and your own self-talk, your own self-love and self-care to yourself, will these things release. As already mentioned, it's still a work in progress for me. And I've done a lot of healing. Spent a lot of money on healing, because I do believe the more you heal yourself internally, the more these things don't become as big of an issue. It took me a while to understand that. And you might think this is all woo-woo and like it's a cop-out. Ask every entrepreneur that is super successful. Even Alex Hormozi talks about it. Like, every entrepreneur talks about the point in their life where they hit a plateau and they needed to do the deep inner healing to then get their business to the next level. It's all intertwined, because we are the operators of that business. If we do not heal ourselves to get to the next level, our business is not going to as well. It's not just going to miraculously go to the next level. And some people will argue, oh, I've never healed, I've never done anything, in spirituality, and I still had super massive success. Great. You're probably one of the special few, if there's any out there, because after reading books and books and books, there is no success story that I know that someone didn't take the time to whether level up their skill set, which is also healing yourself, or to do the deep inner healing, whatever that means to you. I just never seen it. And if you do, please comment and let me know below where I can see these stories. And this is why I'm saying it's such a correlation. That's kind of what I got for today. And if you have any questions about failure and how to go about it, just drop them. I'm much better at answering questions than off the cuff talking. It's just this came up because I've been feeling a little down in the last, week or two of my own progress of this new offer, and second guessing myself, even though I know it's the best offer that I've ever come up with. The best offer that I can ever offer is this right now, here, providing a full done for you sales system and sales team, and implement it into your business without the business owner ever having to be involved and still maintaining their sales or doubling their sales. It is, and it's all guaranteed. I wish I had this offer when I was starting out, and I just know it's a home run, but at the same time, I'm telling myself this is not going to work because of, this. And I go back to that original business. which was so long ago. I want to say 15 years ago or something ridiculously long. Why should I be measuring my success now to the old me like decades ago? It makes no sense. But sometimes our brain doesn't make sense of things. And that's why your positive self-talk to yourself, how you manage your emotions, understanding polarity, understanding that failures are just lessons. There's nothing more to it. It does not devaluate your self-worth at all. It's just a misstep you did to learn what you needed to learn. Simply that. And when you can see it like that, you're gonna be fearless in going after anything you want to. Because even if I still have those moments, right, where I talk, those negative thoughts come up, I am still fearless of going after what I want, even with those thoughts. And that is because I worked on understanding what failure really is and understanding polarity. I know where I went wrong. And I know I've worked on those things. I have that in my back pocket now. Technically, there's not much that is going to stop me from succeeding. I had a pause moment there because my brain was just like, damn, yeah, why the fuck am I worrying? Like, I don't need to worry. I've done what I need to do. I protected myself where I can with the lessons that I've learned. And maybe it's because I'm wearing this t-shirt that I wanted to talk about this topic, but my t-shirt says, at the present time or moment, just live and make it happen. And then the back of my t-shirt says, happiness is the most important thing. As long as I'm living in that and I'm working towards that, everything will be fine. I know for some of you who are watching this that are really deep in it, in your depression, in your despair of maybe something that went really horribly wrong for you, it's hard for you to fathom that. Be in that, feel those feelings and feel those emotions. Just don't stay in it too long because it can eat you up. It can eat you up and spit you back out, and you've lost so much time. Just take it for what it is. There's a lesson there. Learn from it. Find what skill sets you need to level up to protect yourself from the next time you go at it. Because that's really what life is all about. We're all here just experimenting it together. We're all born ordinary. There's just some of us work harder to add the extra in front of the ordinary, to become extraordinary or to have an extraordinary life. But we're all born the same. I have talents, so do you. It's just different. But don't forget that. Don't forget you have the power to add the extra to your ordinary. Even how many times you failed, it doesn't mean it's going to repeat itself again. As long as you don't do the exact same thing again. Where we're going wrong is just we're not fixing the core problems. And that's why it's happening over and over and over. And that's why you gotta heal your inner deepest wounds. Because until then, your actions are not gonna be different. What you do is maybe the same mistakes over and over. This can be seen in poor relationships. If you've had a bad relationship over and over and over, it might not be the other person. It might not be the fact that you can't find your person. It might be you. You might need to heal something that you don't realize yet. And that's the same thing with businesses. If you're making the same mistakes, same things happen over and over and over, look deep into your core. What are those actions that are coming out of that core that is affecting this? I hope this all makes sense, because this is such a topic that is so dear to my heart. Because even thinking about it, I get emotional and makes me want to cry, because I can see how far I've come from 80 FM and how crushed I was. How I really didn't want to get out of bed. I was afraid to wake up. I was afraid to get out of bed because I had to face this massive failure that I created. Where if I saw it as I just created myself a massive lesson, a scholarship to entrepreneurship. I paid it forward with this. It's always just a tweak of perspective that is going to change the game. And that's what I hope you leave today with, is that just that tiny tweak of perspective can change everything. Don't dwell on your failures. See it as a lesson. And I promise you, you'll feel so much lighter, so much better about yourself. And then start incorporating things that is going to lift yourself up and lift your self-talk. Don't use really negative words talking about yourself. Don't say things to yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend or your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, however you want to call it. If you'll never say that to them, don't ever say it to yourself. That's a great framework for me that I remind myself. Would I ever say this to my wife? Or would I ever say this to my nieces? Fuck no. I'm not going to say it to myself. I don't deserve it, and neither do you. I hope that helped you today. You're not a failure. You just made some mistakes. It was mistakes that you needed to make to get to the next level, to the next venture of your life. Stay strong. Peace.